All right, Ian, Sony internal documents were leaked. And one of the main tenets was that people prefer single-player games.
Makes me so happy to hear that. So the basic the gist of the study is that people prefer to play single-player games, but they have a tough time actually working that into their schedule. And a lot of, I think, over the past few years, you know how there was the pivot to video with like news sites and stuff like that?
Like 10 years ago?
Yeah, and it was all shown to be like bullshit and that there was really no data behind that. It was just so they could get more ads and stuff in there. Video games have spent the past, I'd say, decade and a half trying to convince people that what everyone wants to do is play an always online game that is constantly evolving. And people don't really want to do that. There's definitely room for online games, and people want to be able to play stuff with their friends. But being able to sit down and relax and unwind and enjoy a single-player storyline or video game on your terms is something that has gotten, I'd say, progressively harder and harder to do, as they constantly keep trying to find new ways to work in online modes and reasons for you to be online. There's been a huge increase in the games as service model over the past 10 years. So that would be games like Destiny or The Division, games where you buy a game and technically there is a full standalone game on there, but it's usually kind of short and rushed, and they fill that in with more and more expansions and the need to be online. Even if you don't always have to be playing with someone else, you have to be online and playing in that persistent world.
Sure.
And that, I think, takes a toll on people. On the other hand, single-player games are great, but these single-player games are getting so crazy and so in-depth that even if that is what people want to play, a lot of these single-player games, it seems like to get anything out of, you have to turn the game on and almost commit a couple hours to the game to feel like you've progressed or done anything between, going through menus, leveling up, doing side tutorials and things like that. By the time you turn it on and get anywhere, it's already been a couple hours. So it's getting tough, I think, for people to work games into their schedule, even now in a time where people generally have more time than they usually would.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not shocked to see this study. Then it said about this is one of the reasons why I guess they're working in these PS5 activities system. So you get, I guess, like a checklist of stuff to do versus just, I guess, how's it different? Regular achievement, you just do an achievement, right?
I think activities, it's just like a smaller.
It just gives you like, okay, do this now, do this, do this. Like just little things. Like an achievement can be a big thing. Like, oh, yeah, if you're playing Miles Morales, I don't know, do every side quest or whatever, which could take you forever. But I guess with this, it's like, oh, swing around this part of Manhattan or something. Oh, I get that done. So maybe it's just, it's more reasonable for the non-gamer lifestyle where you don't have, 20 hours every week to put into a single game. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it sounds like. They're finding that not work-life balance, the outside gamer life balance, I guess. Gaming, non-gaming balance. So that's interesting for sure. Let's see, what else was in here? When this was shared on Twitter, this is a Vice article first broke this by Patrick Klepek. That name sounds familiar. When I shared on story, it prompted a surprisingly visceral reaction. Equal parts backlash for Sony openly advocating for people to avoid immersing themselves in game worlds, and praise from people who are excited for a different way to play their games. I thought it would be interesting then to better explain Sony's own internal logic for why it made this feature such a big part of PS5 based on the confidential documents. Documents distributed to a select number of developers in 2019 were part of a two-part presentation explaining activities and game help, which let players pull up walkthrough videos without YouTube. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. That's something they're thinking about doing? Yeah. Walk you through the game you just got instead of going on YouTube? Well, if they exist anyway, you might as well make it easier. Why not?
So, going back to this, Patrick Klepek was writing about the activity system, and it's interesting how, in an open world game, you can either find the X that you have to go to on a map and, walk there to start your mission. Or you press the PlayStation button and it literally brings up a list. It almost looks like a list of videos after like you finish watching something on YouTube, and you can flip through and actually start the activity. So, there's an example where it's showing Miles Morales swinging around the city, and they bring up the activities list, and he simply picks to start. I think it's like a lab that he has to investigate or something like that. Yeah, there's a Roxxon lab, and it tells you about how long that activity would take, about 15 minutes, and you can jump right into it. I can see where some people might be upset by the fact that you lose the immersion, but I'm a game player that if I get too lost or if I can't find something that a game is trying to point out to me, I will get frustrated and I might walk away from it. I like this idea. I like the ability to jump into these side quests in an efficient manner, and I feel like that's a game respecting my time, realizing that not everyone has the time to fully explore the world, but probably still wants to play the game and still do some side mission stuff. I actually think that's a very cool idea.
In this presentation, the Sony explained that in reality, its internal tracking data shows that single player is thriving, and PlayStation users are regularly spending more time playing offline than online. So I thought about a type of person that might be turned off from a game that encouraged online playing. And to me, I find non-online play, single-player games, it can be, you do it at your own pace more so, right?
Yes.
It's more relaxing. You don't have to worry about assholes online, potential trolls, potential bad internet connection ruining your game if you're playing like a shooter. Like there's so many more variables that come into playing online. It can be a much more stressful experience, and sometimes you don't want that. You just want to hey, I want to screw around. Let's just say I want to screw around in Red Dead Redemption. I want to get on a horse and just go out somewhere and just see what's around. Right. Kill a bear or whatever.
Kill a bear.
Shoot a bison. I don't want to worry about some thieves coming after me or something, or whatever, that online, or griefers or what have you in some of these games. Like I want to relax. I paid $60 for a game. I just spent an awful day at work. It's Friday night. I just want to relax and play a game. I don't want to worry about bullshit. I don't want to deal with people outside of the office. Let's just say,
sure,
while I'm playing my game. Virtual people, yeah, I'm in a saloon, but I don't want to deal with actual people in my game. So I see a lot to that. Company outline what players say are the problems with single player games. So these are the problems. No idea how long I might need. Don't play unless I have 2+ free hours. Takes a lot of time to scan through long help videos when stuck. How to engage socially without risk of spoilers. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Because even Cyberpunk, which just came out, they said please.
It comes out on the 10th.
They said please don't stream it. I think until a certain time because they're afraid of spoilers. I believe him to an extent. I do.
I believe him to an extent too, but a game that's been delayed this many times and has such a touchy, it had such a tight embargo and didn't want people streaming. It's also because they don't want any sort of negative press to hit before release date.
But it's been well reviewed for the most part. So
it's been right down the middle reviewed as far as I can tell.
I saw a lot of 5 out of 5s on it. No, what did IGN?
IGN gave it like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, so most people go off GameSpot. A lot of people do. GameSpot I think was a 7. That's not bad, I believe. Anyway, so and forgot what I was doing. This is a good one. This is the one that gets me sometimes. Forgot what I was doing in this game last time.
Oh, that
hard
happens
to
all
get
the time.
back in.
Yeah.
If it's so complex, say you slipped out of GTA 5 for like 3 months. And you come back and you're like, what the hell? What was my last mission? What was I doing? What was the story going on? What car was I trying to get?
That happens to me in RPGs all the time.
It's almost like if someone Ian plucked you out of your actual life, right? They plucked you out and then wiped your memory. 3 months later, they dropped back in. It's like, all right, Ian, start living your life again. What was I doing? What was I cooking? What was I fixing up around here? What's happening? I can totally see that. It's not like you're dropping in and out of a retro game, which you can beat a retro game in an hour total. These are games that can take 100 hours or more to get through. If I went back to Breath of the Wild today, I can honestly tell you, and I put 25 hours in Breath of the Wild. I can honestly tell you, I have no idea where I am in that game.
Oh, I believe that.
I think I just met some fish people. I think that's where I'm at. I was pissed because I had a great horse that I let go. Like I got off it and like ran away. I remember that. That actually made me sad. I was like, no, it was a good horse. It was a good race. Like I found like a nice horse, and we got along well. And I trained it. That's the only thing I remember from Breath of the Wild. By the way, you see that that Breath of the Wild clone came out, and people were trying to defend, saying it wasn't a clone of Breath of the Wild. When like
which one?
Oh, we talked about this one where I mean the art style's the same. The
Oh sure, I thought you were talking about Genshin Impact for a minute.
No, this was what the hell? Anyway, it was funny because like there was a comparison video showing every gameplay element was the same. How you climbed, how you can glide off, how you can shoot the bow and arrow was the same. There was an element to the game where you know how you can lift stuff with your tablet.
Yeah,
you can lift stuff the same way in this game. Like you can imagine, like it's this like there's like shrines. I'm like, no, this is above a clone. Like you can't sue over this, but you're surprised Nintendo wouldn't sue over that. They sued over other stuff. Sorry, that was an aside. I just saw that before. What were we talking about? Single player games. In an ideal world, in an ideal world, every player has the time to spend hours per day, every day playing games. Reads a slide on top of a photo of a man holding a baby and a cup of coffee. In reality, that's what I would say. Most people have jobs or kids or school or all of the above. Often free time comes wedged between other obligations. An hour before bed, a 30-minute break between homework assignments, a few minutes before your online multiplayer match. Let's even try to work in that. Well, I got a few minutes. So I get turned off if I see a game where it's saying, well, you gotta have a 6 to 7 hour chunk of time set up, like sleep time, in order to really get into this game. I'm out at that point. At this point, I'm not in college anymore where I could do that. I'm not even in my mid to late 20s where I can do that. I just at a different place. So it's like a lot of people are as well. I now want to see the slide of the guy trying to hold a controller and a baby and a cup of coffee. The other problem Sony proposed was that people don't have enough information to determine when and how they should play a single-player game. That's interesting. If the marketing of games evolves to the point where they tell you, all right, this is how much time you need to put in, and this is how you should do it, that could be interesting.
I'm surprised that that's not something that
recommendation
they've tried. I mean, because you look at board games and stuff, and board games always have that
45 minutes or whatever.
Right. And I'm not, I guess it's hard to determine, but someone take a look at your gameplay loop and determine, what is a reasonable amount of time to set aside. If it's an arcade game or a platformer, you could probably say 30 minutes. If it's a role-playing game or something open world, you might want to say an hour to an hour and a half. I feel like there's a way to, at least give people a rough idea of that.
I talked to someone recently who's big into arcade games. Maybe they just did a Kickstarter. And they said, they're a little bit older, but they even said, yeah, that's why I like arcade games, because I can get in and out of them quick.
No, it's fine.
Fun. You get into them, you get out of them in 20 minutes, and that's it. You're done. I say, oh, well, yeah.
Now, the older I get, that's where I find myself spending most of my time, too, is when I look at the amount of games I've played over, especially just since, like, COVID started. If you look at what I've paid attention to, it's mostly been my PC Engine stuff or the arcade game archive stuff that I have downloaded on the Switch, games that I can pop on and feel like I've accomplished something, even if it's in 15-20 minutes. Okay, my high score is a little bit better, or I practiced this aspect of the game. I don't ever generally feel that way with the large story type games.
Sure.
AAA games.
Are you making progress on Mr. Driller? You making progress there?
Yeah, I am.
Get that high score, and you got to record it. Remember?
I think someone else is going to be getting that high score before me.
Oh, really? Someone in the know? You have a whole cabal of Mr. Driller people that are trying to do that. Okay, it's a quest for Ian. All right, you do that, and I'll go for Rolling Thunder. Would that be high score or time based? Because Rolling Thunder, you got to get through that pretty quick. You can't really stand around and get points on Rolling Thunder. That's probably a time based one, I would think. That's like a speedrun thing. Sorry, now I'm just spitballing my potential foray into competitive arcade gaming. All right, well, check it out. The device article, we'll link it. This is a great article because it brings up a lot of things that Ian and me have stated before, but in a more eloquent way. And there's research to back it up from Sony. Sony realizes this is a thing. We can change. Should I start playing? To which part should I start playing? Reads a slide next to a screenshot from Uncharted. The options are there. The choices are clear. The game is calling. Pick up that controller. It's time to play. So you're gonna have gatekeepers saying, "Whoa, you should have the time to do it." Go fuck off. Go fuck off. I want to be entertained in my own way.
Go fuck off.
You be entertained in your own way. You want to spend 12 hours on a game just to get familiar with it. I don't have that time. I'm doing stuff. I want to go to the zoo. I want to make a guidebook. I want to do other things just besides dedicate 30 hours a week to a single game. Sorry. And thankfully, Sony's seeing that evolving in 2020.